Hi everyone, welcome to Spirit Coffee Talk. Oh my gosh, today's episode was a good one. We talked about the Galactic Federation and the Earth Alliance and how they are really stepping up to help us move and shift. We talk about the full moon and the partial lunar eclipse and how this really represented a change point in light and accessibility of light and movement forward. It was really good, positive stuff that came through from our guides, and we talked about some of the disasters happening here in BC, but also what's being done about it and how it's really helping to rebuild the idea of community and people helping people for the sake of helping, like these beautiful things coming out of tragedies. So definitely grab your coffee or tea, join us for Spirit Coffee Talk. Today will lift you up and probably answer some questions about some of the things you may have been experiencing this week. So we really hope you enjoy the show. All right, welcome everyone to Spirit Coffee Talk. I'm Ginette, and joining me is Elyse and Elyse. We are the mediums and channelers of Avalon Spirit, and thank you so much for checking out Spirit Coffee Talk today as we dive into the energies of what's going on, the moon, and of course we can't help but talk about the flooding and the mudslides and everything that has affected BC the last while. It has been unreal. It has been an absolutely unreal experience in many forms. So we're going to dive into all of that today to help shine some positivity on it, because we are getting some insights from Spirit that are very positive and really shining the light. And that's really what we wish to bring through in these talks, is like, yes, validate what's happening, but also the good that can come from it. So here we go. So
Yeah.
how are you guys feeling about that moon? Let's go moon first.
Big full moon.
Mm-hmm.
I think with the moon, how it's come forward for me is that with it comes rejuvenation. There's been a lot of obvious upheaval, lots of really strong energies to, like we've talked about for a couple months now, about like checking your baggage, like what do you want to bring with you, what do you not want to bring with you, and like setting new goals and planting the seed. And I think what this moon really is starting to shine on us really is some rejuvenation, some like where we can actually see in front of us how some of our hard work is starting to come in and starting to see kind of the light at the end of the tunnel, where we can feel like kind of this new rejuvenation of going forward. And I know personally, like there's been a lot of feelings of helplessness is kind of a strong explanation, but where it's like, I don't know what's happening. I don't know what's going to happen. And I can't help but feel anxious about it, when things around us aren't really lining up, but we don't really have a lot of answers. And I think that the energy that this moon brings in and has brought in for us and will continue over the next couple of days is shining a little bit of reprieve on us and giving us some little tidbits and tools and gifts so that we can move forward in a forward momentum. I think that this is an ignition for a forward momentum.
Mm-hmm.
I
Yeah.
agree.
Yeah,
Elyse?
I feel like leading up to it, very triggering, very like things that you're like, I think I'm good, and then it comes up and you're not good, and or things that like maybe weren't even on your radar before, they're now like popping up, and you're like, oh, okay. Noticing like that it's rare that I'll wake up in the morning and be like grumpy from the moment I open my eyes, but there was a number of days today, or this week rather, where I opened my eyes and immediately I could feel stuff coming up around like triggers, things that were frustrating me, angers, like just stuff. And I remember thinking when that happened a few times, like, why is this happening? And then it just kind of would snowball throughout the day, where it was like, oh, and throw some gasoline on that part and throw some fuel in that part of the fire. And it just kind of would like come up. But what I've noticed is that was kind of the first half of, or the first bit of the week. And then this morning, and even yesterday afternoon and this morning, noticing like a real lightening of that. So it was like, almost like the fire had to come up, and then at least as you were saying, like the moon kind of almost extinguishing it a little bit, being like, hey, let it burn, work through your stuff,
Yeah.
notice your triggers, and maybe they're not gone, but maybe they've been really flared up, and like, hey, this is what's happening for you, this is something for you to work on going forward.
Yeah, and maybe it was like an illumination of like the things that really had to go at the end there. It's like, okay, these have been holding on, so we're really gonna throw fire gasoline on the fire to have you really see that these are the triggers, these are the last of it, you know?
Yeah.
They're not coming with you, kind of thing.
And to then make choices though, right? Like I think this week was really big on like, what do you want? Like, you know, in The Notebook, for those that have seen the movie The Notebook, you know, when he's asking like, what do you want? What do you want? I feel like the universe was saying that in a sense, and
I love that movie so much.
Yeah, it was making it so hot, so uncomfortable, so anything to have this like, this is what I want. And I know for myself, I felt that 2 days ago. For me, if I really want to have like a deep meditation, I will have a bath and I will fill my bath with stones and crystals. Like I make it this sacred hub of energy. And to me, water is this big conduit. So I had this bath, and in the bath, I got this big, like, it was kind of like the universe saying, what do you want? And I was like, I want this. And it's like when I put my whole energy to what I wanted to release, where I wanted to move forward, all these things, it was like I saw in my mind this like supernova of energy that went out. And it was like it shifted something, right? And that's what I feel like this energy was doing, like we're saying, right? Like heating up and heating it up and heating up to catalyze this energetic chemical reaction to burst out into the universe.
I like that.
Yeah.
Keep it going though. Like keep it going. For anybody who's watching, like keep that in the forefront. What do you want? Let's focus on what we want, and like keeping that mindset of what we want, and really like feeling into what that actually looks like and feels like and presents in a, you know, on a regular day-to-day basis. Like how do you want to feel?
Yeah.
What do you want to get up and see every day? How do you want that to feel? Like set up and be specific, because the wheels are in motion. You know, that was another thing that I got to really loud and clear this week was be specific. Really be specific with what you want. Yeah. Because like this is manifestation time, like it's shining onto you. So like, don't hold back. Put everything on the paper, you know?
Yeah, totally. And you know what I noticed too is in connection to everything that's happened in BC. So for those of you, if anyone is watching this and hasn't heard, BC had some massive flooding. All the highways leading to the lower mainland had issues that either there's collapses, mudslides, like it was cut off, still is in many forms. I know they're getting some trucks through. Anyways, major natural disaster, flooding, all of that. But what I saw this morning from Spirit was, because of all of this like push of energy and shift of energy and like shakeups, which we know inherently natural disasters bring communities together. They kick people out of their ego with something more important to help others, right? And so this natural disaster has happened, but what I saw this morning was higher beings of light, whatever you want to call them, you can, but these are from the Earth Alliance and the Galactic Federation. Spirit showed me this image, which here's my beautiful art skills for everybody. Maybe this is backwards when you see it, I don't know. Anyways, here's BC, province of BC. And then here's all these dots where spirits descending down to Earth to help out. And so it doesn't mean we're going to see 3D aliens or spirits or whatever walking around all like meep, 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 meep. But
I hope you do.
Maybe you will. Maybe
you do.
Will.
Send us the video.
Yeah.
But they have a lot of ways to be here, be on the ground with us. And when I saw that, I was like, oh my gosh, right away I thought, oh my gosh, does this mean more spirits leaving, like souls leaving and more death? And they were like, no, this is help. This is help coming in. We hear what's happening. We see the choices and shifts people are making as a result. And BC is but an example. There was floods in Egypt, in Aswan, I know there was a lot going on there. There's a lot of stuff happening everywhere. They were using BC as an example, how they are descending and coming to help more because we are going through our stuff, shifting, becoming more light, and being able to co-create with them, and in essence welcome the energies of change here.
Mm-hmm.
And so I thought that was really exciting considering how tough November has been. Like, November has kicked a lot of people in the butt. But something about this moon and this partial lunar eclipse we had last night and the shifts and the openings people have done created this shift in energy again, which I believe is again a step up. And that excites me, if you can't tell.
Yeah.
I'm really excited here. I think this is a beautiful thing. So like you said, Lisa, like, keep going. Keep doing the work, keep finding the light in things. And it doesn't mean like spiritually bypassing of everything is lovely, even though, you know, I am being flooded and I lost my home. That's not lovely.
No.
Right? But be real and then make the choices. And again, I'm simplifying it. I'm not, you know, not trying to, yeah. So anyways, that was my ramble. Elyse, what do you think? What are you feeling?
Did you say Elyse?
Did I say Elyse?
Both of you. Maybe I just heard that.
Yeah, I did.
Yeah, and you know, as we were talking about this a little bit before we started recording, that, you know, we're seeing a lot of stuff, right? And we've been saying this, like, I think since we've literally started recording Spirit Coffee Talk, that there's, you know, open the news, open, you know, Facebook or your social media, and there's something, right? Something massive is happening on any given day somewhere around the world, and it feels extra kind of potent. And I think what the understanding that I got was that it's not just the idea of extra help kind of being sent in is not just specific to BC, but to everything that is happening. And part of that, like you said, is that choice point of, it's like, okay, as a society, the critical mass is starting to shift, evolve, make choices that are maybe a little bit different than what they used to do. And with that comes extra support, because they're like, yes, you're going in the right direction. Like, keep going. Even though the rotten house is still falling apart around you, you're still, as a collective society, like, the critical mass is making the right choices. I don't say right, but the choices to evolve, the choices to learn, to grow, to, you know, move through your triggers, heal your stuff, support other people, be open-minded, all of that stuff. It's happening. And with that comes more support. And, you know, even they're kind of showing me, there was last week, I think it was last week, everything that happened with that concert in the States, that Astro World. And, well, it's terrible. And there was so much that was preventable. And there was all of these really awful things that happened. You also hear stories about how this massive group of people that was being, like, crushed, essentially, were getting out and then going back in to help other people. Were doing what they could, because there was no authorities, there was no paramedics, there was no people to help. And the mass of people that were also in it and in danger were going back in, were going to the danger to support the other people that needed it. And, like, if that's not a show of humanity rising to the occasion on a really dark, awful experience that took a lot of lives, I don't know what it is. So I think that that's another example of that, right? Of people being given those supports. Okay, you're going to go in, we're going to support you in going in to help, to be part of community. Because I think if we've learned anything in the last 2 years, it's that we can't do any of this stuff. We can't move through any of these challenges, whether it's from a 3D earth world, climate change, you know, whatever, societal injustices. We can't do that alone. We have to do it in community. There is power in community. That is how change happens, is through community.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And we're seeing that too in BC, right? Like, there was over 300 people that showed up the night that they were talking about the pump and needing to put sandbags and trying to fix this pump house so that it could divert water. And 300 people showed up that night, and they actually had to turn people away. Like, again, another example of it. And unfortunately, oftentimes disasters are what bring that out of people and reignite that spark of let's work for the greater collective.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So they're showing me this in like a whole big kind of perspective, like zoning out a bit on a whole big perspective on like 2020 kind of onwards. And it's like when we needed global change and the expedited rate in which we, number one, needed it and then got it, it's not going to be easy, right? And so think about like these first 2 years, it's like it's been the breakdown. It's been the breakdown of all systems. And it's obviously going to continue. And then there's still going to be polarity, and it's never going to be all light, because then that would throw us off our axis. Like it has to have balance still. But breaking down old systems had to happen in a way that was not man-made, right? So we had this crazy ass virus that came in. And so it's like that halted the forward trajectory of this like downward spiral of Earth, essentially. And the breakdown of everything occurred in such a way. And so when things are starting to get rebuilt, they have to get rebuilt from a new foundation. And so that calls for things like mass amounts of destruction. And I hate to say it because lives are lost. And I do believe that it all is involved with soul contracts. But I mean, it doesn't take away from the compassion for all the people that have been deeply affected, right? But when we talk about communities coming together now to be able to rebuild the foundation in which we are going forward on an upward trajectory in this positive vibrational, like speeding upwards. But it's like the phoenix rising from the ashes, right? Like, and BC has felt it for this whole year. Like BC has had quite the year, but we're rising. We really are.
Mm-hmm.
And for any massive change to happen, you have to bring it right down. And that's what's happening.
Mm-hmm.
Like it had to halt and like boom, start from scratch. And that was all the stuff that's happened. And it has felt vulnerable. We have felt out of control. We have all of what we thought we knew and held like sustainable and sturdy, boom, under from us. Like everything we knew true, right? And nobody likes change. But look at the change that's happened. There's no way that this change could have happened globally if it didn't happen in the way it's happened.
Mm-hmm.
And I just like, I feel from the bottom of my heart as truth, like truth, that this is for the forward, the upward trajectory of good, of light, of love that is continuing to bring our whole Earth collective upwards.
Mm-hmm.
So just hold on and trust. And I know it can be hard, but just trust. We're going up now. Change continues to happen, but we're going up now.
Mm-hmm. I feel that. I really do. And I think also it needs to be said that it doesn't mean we're done with and I'm not saying you're saying that, but it doesn't mean we're done with the challenging experiences, right? Like we'll keep seeing them as other things have to crumble and fall, but we're going to gain more momentum in the moving forward in
Yes.
it.
And
right?
I think that the forward moving momentum is picking up. It's picking up with this full moon, but also with winter solstice coming up. Like that's like major trajectory forward. Like that there is like it's like they're showing me like a turbine kind of starting to move to starting to push things forward, right?
Absolutely. Totally. And I just keep getting this hit of like action point now. Like action point, not being stagnant, and we've been talking about the movement too. I mean, we really were talking a lot about that in October when a bunch of the planets went back into forward momentum. But I think with that going in forward momentum, everything else it's like the train is moving, right? So the whole train is moving now, right? Like we may have just seen the engine at first in October, but like the whole train is moving now and we're seeing lots of cars go by. And so that means there's a lot of force behind that movement too. So we can kind of like hang on to that light. And I think that's so important right now because it's so easy to fall into hopelessness and despair with everything going on. Like it's really easy to fall into that. Yeah. I know we've all had our moments in feeling that too. I don't think anyone is impervious to that.
No.
And I think it's important to allow that because oftentimes in that darkness of hopelessness or fear or anxiety, there is understandings for you. There is lessons. What is it that you are actually afraid of? What is it that is actually in those emotions? Oftentimes we're like, oh, just focus on forward momentum. And yes, but give yourself some space to feel that. Like I was in not a great headspace yesterday afternoon, and I like raged for a little bit, and I put on some music that like made me really feel, and I was driving and I was just like, and had a conversation, raged in the conversation. Yep. And then no, I put on Taylor Swift's new album because it's like all the feels. It's great.
That's your go-to. Hey?
Taylor Swift is the universe supporting us right now through her music. So thank you.
Yeah.
I just always have to plug it.
I actually had to watch her 10-minute video. Have you seen it?
No.
If you've ever dated a narcissist, you need to watch it because it will just like put you in your feels.
Dated a narcissist, or even like one of those quick whirlwind flings where you like the whole world around you stops and you like it's like twin flame kind of energy. That's what she had, and the way that she portrays it and I loved how she did it because she didn't put him down. She didn't like she told a story. Gosh, is she ever an artist?
Oh yeah.
Anyway.
And in those feelings, there's things, right? Even to make it like kind of light and silly, I was watching the video, listening to the music. I loved her old albums, and I love that this is a great example of everything that she's doing is kind of a big FU to the powers that be that were manipulating and greedy and trying to hold power over her, over things that she created. And she's like, no, thanks. I'm actually going to do this. And I'm going to bring light to my fans. And I'm going to do all these things to the world. That's cool. I think that is a great show of like changing the way that we're moving forward. And like, I'm not going to accept old behaviors and old things. And tapping into like a lot of people were like, it's emotional. It's like, I don't feel happy listening to her music. I don't like, it's intense. There's a lot coming up. And for me, I had an understanding of like, wow, I was taken back to memories of when I really connected to aspects of music and pieces of those experiences that were still unhealed, that were still living in me, driving the bus a little bit, or that would come up and would come up in experiences now, stuff that I thought I was over. And so again, just all using, as the stuff comes up, we can choose to let it take us down, or we can allow ourselves to hold space for it and do something with it. It doesn't have to, you don't have to be powerless in the hard feelings. You can feel them and choose to do something with them.
Music is such a great way to do that. Hey, even like for people who play music, to sing to music, or to dance and move your body to music. Music is such an amazing tool to move energy through.
Yeah, I agree.
So Taylor Swift is God. That's the moral of this.
It's hilarious.
Go get in your feels, everybody.
Oh my gosh. Just kidding. Oh, it's so true though. I just I think these changes in perspective are so big, and how they're affecting each of us individually to be like, click up in consciousness every time. And I really feel the universe supporting that. I feel, guides and angels supporting that, the archangels. I was talking to one of the archangels the other day, actually. They came right up in front of me, bold wings, so that I wouldn't, misinterpret or anything. And it was really amazing. And so then to even feel the, or get these insights from, the Galactic Federation, the Earth Alliance, how they're helping humanity too. Like, the more we step up, the more help we have to move along the way. We have to make the steps first. And I think a lot of people are doing that. And that's why I think it's beautiful. Yeah. I can hear them singing. I can see rainbows now that, I can see clearly now that the rain is gone, and they're showing me rainbows in my mind.
Oh, that's so awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
I pulled a card, and it's funny because as I was with a client earlier, and I pulled the same card for her, but it's the imagery is really interesting. So it's the dragon card, and it says power and talking all about your gifts. But so it's dark, right? And then there's this dragon kind of overlooking, and then there's the girl, she's tired, and then there's like a big bright full moon. So to me, that's really almost like symbolic of exactly what we were talking about.
I pulled the Dragon Power card right before we started
Oh,
too.
no way.
Yeah.
Amazing.
They keep telling me that they have a message for you to say. Can you tune in?
Oh, sure. Okay, so interesting actually, and it is all in connection to the full moon and actually the moon card. So if anyone's ever seen the moon card in tarot, it's not on every deck, but in most tarot decks, there's often a scorpion in the picture. Exactly right, a scorpion in the picture. They just showed me the scorpion up this way in full view. Now the scorpion can be a symbolism of power and strength. The scorpion can also be a symbolism of the dark energies or depressive, lesser vibe things trying to affect everything. What I got with that scorpion up like this in full view, it was almost like it was up hanging. Like, you know how they hang fish when they catch like a big marlin? Marlin, not a merlin. Don't catch a merlin.
A wizard.
Marlin.
I do that all the time.
Don't hang the marlin upside down. But you know when they catch those big fish and they hang them upside down, or like tuna, it's kind of like this one is hung upright, exposed, and I see the moonlight shining on it. And so the message really is this reinforcement of the light that is coming even in times of darkness. So it's not just sunlight shining on it, but it is moonlight shining on it. Therefore, it can't escape. The light will come shine on it either way. And we all get to embody that power. We don't need to, it's about putting everything in front of us so that we can see it. You know, the biggest fears are when you can't see the thing, right? You hear a noise and you can't see it. But if you knew that it was just a raccoon that knocked over a garbage can, you'd be like, oh, look at that cute little raccoon, and look, it's got its little family. If you could see it. If you can't see it and you can't suss that out and you're already feeling unnerved by the energy, you might think it is some giant grizzly that's going to soon break into your house, right? It's this perspective. So the universe is saying they're shining the light on the things. Some of them revealing that they're not what you think it is. Others revealing what it is, but then you can choose what you do about it.
Right.
Yeah.
And I think that's a great...
It's not so dark. Like, this moon is shining light on perspectives.
Yeah.
So that you're not in the dark of what the heck is going on, what the heck is happening, what the heck, that kind of uncontrolled energy feeling. It's like, let me shine some light on this so that you can decipher exactly what you want to do with it.
Yeah.
And if the light is shone on it and you choose to run away, i.e. ignore it, don't want to deal with it, don't want to feel it, just like, well, run the opposite direction, you won't actually know what's there. So that's where, like, allowing yourself to see it, feel it, understand it, give it some space, can help you to transmute it a bit more.
Absolutely. Well, I think that's just quite beautiful, ladies. I don't know about you.
Yeah,
that's good.
Yeah. Well, okay. So I hope that really helps all of you, you know, just feel a little bit of lightness in everything that's going on. And also this, this gratitude from the universe and from everyone for the work that you are doing as an individual. Your work makes a difference. The ripples you make and the decisions you make a difference. And when we're all doing it, we all are rising. So thank you so much for joining us. Do subscribe and like if you are watching this and you haven't yet done it. If it's your first time joining us, thank you so much. And also, I want to give you guys a heads up that we have a really cool sale, the lunar eclipse sale, happening on avalonspirit.com right now for the next week. Definitely check it out. If you go online, you can check it out, and there's great savings on all the products and events. Not the journey guides, but the events and products. So definitely check it out. There's good Christmas gifties.
Yeah, there's like amazing ceremony kits, and oh my gosh, you guys, you have to check it out if you haven't even heard of it. Yeah, like, there's so many good things on there.
Yeah. Awesome. Okay, thank you everyone. Have a wonderful week, and we will see you next week.